drug testing program. Until you hear that, everything else is wolf tickets.
Bullshit.
It's not real. He's just talking, promoting whatever he's got to promote. His beer, his whiskey, whatever.
Well, now he's promoting his WWE because he tried to pitch some idea. I don't know if this is real or not with Vince McMahon. I mean, I said it from a long time ago. I said if he doesn't come back to the UFC, we're going to see this guy in WWE. It's just a matter of time. It will happen. But you're right. He's got to get into the testing pool. And I can see him getting into the testing pool maybe in December, maybe in January. And if that's the case, then we could see a summer fight with Conor. And to be honest, people are on his case and whatnot, man. But with that leg break, there's no doubt about it. He's probably on some juice to get those legs strong, to give it time to heal. When it's bone injuries like we've seen, and again, here comes Chris Weidman, who fought a couple of weeks ago, and his leg is broken again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. His career is over. Chris Weidman, I love Chris Weidman. He busted Anderson Silva. He broke his leg, and they've never been the same. Conor came in with Cowboy Cerrone. He looked good. But you know what? It's still that break. And he knows if his leg is 100% or not. He knows. It's probably 100% for everything else, but checking a Muay Thai kick right now at full speed in a real fight. That's the thing. I think he's waiting out the time. I think I would have loved to see Conor fighting this year, to set up our New Year's or Christmas show and to have Conor there. But we're probably going to see Conor in the summer of next year. He will fight again.
There he is, Conor McGregor, just a few days ago, training.
He looks good. He shaved his beard, by the way, I heard.
I don't know. I mean, this is a picture he posted. I don't know when this is from. He can train all he wants, but he's got to pass that drug test.
No, absolutely, Dave. And that's what I'm saying. I think he's buying time as much as he can because the rest of the guys that had the same particular injuries like he's had, they've come back too early, and you can see what happens to them. Chris Weidman, man, that was a tough fight to watch. I didn't think his leg broke, but it did. That's it, man. There's no coming back from that. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, Weidman came back recently after that leg break, and he hurt his leg again in that Brad Tavares fight. But he said, he broke his leg, he broke a bone, but it's not a long healing process. It's maybe 4 to 6 weeks.
Still, man, the breaks are there. You know what I'm saying? It's a leg walk, man.
His leg was not 100% and will probably never be 100% in that fight, right? Just the way he was moving. And then as soon, he got hurt in that leg pretty early on, and it was pretty clear, okay, this is an injury that's just not going to go away. And it's possibly the case with Conor, too. It's an injury that may never go away. You'll never know until he fights, right? You'll never know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We'll never know till he actually fights and really has a real good stand-up Muay Thai kind of scrap. We won't really know till he takes some heavy shots to the leg and walks away and leaves that fight with no injury. I mean, at this point now, we don't know. He looks in great shape. Let's be honest. He looks in great shape. He is training a lot, but it's still not, that fight. And everybody wants to see Conor. I want to still see Conor. And I'm sure Conor wants to be in there, but there's more to it, man.
Yeah,
he's willing to wait the wait.
It would be good,
he's willing to wait.
He doesn't want to get into that drug testing pool. So until he does, man, there's really nothing you can do, nothing you could say, right? I just want everybody to be clear that he just keeps on talking and nothing is really happening, because he did post that image and people thought, oh, maybe he's fighting, but he's just not. Shout out to Lior. Lior says, I can see why AJ is confused. It's because Dana White is so vague every time they ask him the question instead of shutting it down. I mean, it's true.
He is
every time Dana is asked a question about Conor and USADA, he's like, yeah, we got to figure it out. We got to talk to Conor. I don't know. He's very vague. He doesn't want to say anything because he knows Conor needs to get into the USADA testing pool. And it doesn't look good that he's not willing to take a drug test. It doesn't look good for the biggest star in the promotion, and he, as a promoter, doesn't want to talk about Conor not taking a drug test. If Dana White goes out and says, yeah, Conor doesn't want to get into USADA, what's his problem? Why is this an issue with Conor? I don't know. Maybe he's on steroids or something. That's not good for the UFC. It's not good for Conor McGregor. So Dana White basically has to shut his mouth, be vague for as long as possible until it becomes, a point where, Conor's no longer valuable to the UFC, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So he's got to protect Conor McGregor as much as he can. He's got to say, yeah, we'll try and get Conor in as fast as possible. We'll figure it out. We got to talk to him. We got to figure it out. That's what he always says. We got to figure it out. What do you have to figure out? And then he says, I don't know anything about USADA. That's not my part of I don't know anything about that. Yeah, but you're the UFC president. You know about Conor McGregor. You know who he is. You know that you would like to put him in a fight in the octagon against one of your guys. You know that he just did a season of The Ultimate Fighter against Michael Chandler, and there are certain expectations that the coaches would fight because, I don't know, your promotion said that they would. So you know all that, Dana, but you don't know why he's not fighting. You're just not aware. I find that hard to believe, but nobody can really press him on it. Nobody can kind of pin him down to a real answer. Because everything he says is, Conor, got to figure it out. Conor, crazy.
It's Conor.
Crazy Conor, It's hard to get a hold of him. He's on a yacht somewhere. Maybe he'll never fight again. He's got so much money. Who knows? He doesn't need this. I don't know why he does it. He's crazy. Like, Dana's really good at changing the subject, right? Like, that's what Dana does. And, what are you going to do? When you're sitting there as a member of the UFC press, and I've been there with the microphone talking to Dana White, you can't go, okay, but Dana, don't you think it's weird that he hasn't entered the drug testing program? Because Dana's going to be like, well, I don't know. He's got his reasons. Maybe he doesn't want to fight. He's going to either deflect. You can't really get aggressive towards Dana because then Dana will get really mad and he'll blow up, and it doesn't work, I once asked Dana White a tough question, and I was like, hey, Dana, don't you think it's weird? Because Nick Diaz was fighting Georges St. Pierre, right, in Montreal. Do you remember? Do you know this story?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. Go, let's say it. It's good.
So I'm sitting there with Dana White and a few other guys with microphones, and we're talking to Dana White, and Nick Diaz and Georges St. Pierre are, I think, about to fight. And Nick Diaz is saying, there's no drug testing. George is on steroids. Nobody's drug testing here, And it was a fact at the time. I don't know if it's still a fact, but I would guess it is. I haven't really followed the local boxing scene. But no one in the province of Quebec, under the Quebec Athletic Commission, the Régie des courses alcool et des jeux, has ever tested positive for anything ever. No one's ever been suspended for any kind of performance-enhancing drug. Maybe cocaine, one of the boxers, possibly,
even then,
but probably
even
not,
then,
right? Even then, I would doubt it.
I have never heard of
anybody testing positive for anything, right? So I go to Dana. I mean, it is kind of suspicious because this was at the time when people were getting popped for drugs left and right in the UFC, right? Like every card. Do you remember that time when drug testing was getting taken more seriously, and every card would be like, oh, that guy who won actually tested positive for this, and it was happening almost every UFC card. Almost every week we had 2 or 3 drug test failures and suspensions, and big names were getting caught for stuff. It was a big deal, and it has slowed down, right? It's not like that anymore. So it was at the time when everybody was getting popped for things, and the UFC had come to Quebec for a few cards, and nobody on any of those cards has ever been popped for anything, which was suspicious because at the time, every card had something. But for some reason, when they came to Quebec, when the Quebec Athletic Commission was doing the drug testing, this is pre-USADA, no one was testing positive for anything, and one of the main event fighters was raising questions about it. So I asked Dana White, I said, Nick's saying things about the commission here, and it is kind of weird at this point that no one's tested positive. Don't you think that's strange? And Dana's like, it's the commission. What do you want me to do? I can't mess with the commission here. We got an event to put on. There are partners. We got to play by their rules. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you think it's weird that no one's tested positive? And he says, don't be a dick. He's right. And he was smiling because he's like, come on, don't be a dick. What do you want me to say? Because Dana knew that I had kind of caught him, right? I kind of got him at a point where he's like, he's got to admit, fishy. But he also knows that the Quebec Commission was giving him a lot of shit for running shows here and almost canceled the second one they did, or maybe the third one, after they were like, no, mixed martial arts is actually illegal. Even though they had made money off the other events. Like UFC had done several shows here. TKO was running the Bell Center. Everybody was doing MMA. And then all of a sudden the Quebec Athletic Commission goes, it's illegal. And then the UFC had to make a deal with them and maybe some money was exchanged. You know what I mean? They figured out, hey, you get a bigger percentage, da-da-da. So it wasn't illegal anymore, and the UFC was able to do their pay-per-view here that they invested millions of dollars in promoting at the time, right? So the Quebec Athletic Commission was kind of holding them in a bad situation. I'm not saying they were holding them hostage for money, but it certainly appeared that way from the outside. So Dana was on shaky ground with the Athletic Commission. He didn't want to cause trouble. He didn't want to start asking questions about their drug testing program when they could be like, well, it's illegal here. You can't even do your show like in 2 days, canceled. Because they were about to cancel a show like a week out.
Yep.
It was nuts. So, you know, I remember when the Athletic Commissions had to handle the drug testing, and believe me, it was not better. It was far worse than what we have now with USADA, because people are cleaner and you can trust it a little bit more. But when you press Dana, I mean, there's only so far you can press him, right? I mean, what's Dana going to say about Conor McGregor?
Listen, that's his pot of gold, Dave, and that's the thing, man. No matter what, it's the pot of gold, and the rainbow is still there, man. As long as Conor's name is relevant, which it still is, there's money to be made, and it goes through all different things. They're still selling like crazy amount of merch on the UFC site for Conor McGregor.
Of course,
Conor's always selling for them, and that's the thing. There's not too many fighters that sell more than Conor, who hasn't fought now in 2 years, you know. So that's the thing. And we're going to go into the third year. I don't want to say I'm positive, but I'm confident that we'll see Conor next year.
You said this.
I'm confident, Dave. I'm confident just because of the fact.
I thought he was going to show up this year because he started coaching the Ultimate Fighter. I was like, oh, yeah, for sure he's going to fight this year.
On the Ultimate Fighter, if you look at him now, like his conditioning just in the last weeks and whatnot, it's a lot different Conor. He's not as a big Conor. He doesn't look like Conor the Hulk.
But
Conor looked jacked.
I
mean, you know what? He's starting to weed out whatever medication he's taking. And listen, I would do the same thing. If my leg was broken like it was, I would do the exact same thing like Conor, man. I'd be juicing it up.
You don't know what he's doing, all right? Don't put allegations on
We don't know. It's speculation. It's speculation. But let's speculate.
If your leg got broken, you'd be on all the steroids,
His jaw is the size of the Incredible Hulk at one point. Well, I mean, let's be honest. He looked jacked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm saying at one point in time, when they announced The Ultimate Fighter, when they first started filming the season, I thought, oh, he's going to get in USADA. He's going to fight for sure.
Yeah, he was too big, man. He was too big.
Once the show started airing, and they still hadn't announced when the fight would take place, you knew something was fishy. And now, I mean, September? It's going to be September tomorrow. He still hasn't done a drug test.
Man.
8 months of this year. We knew in January he was doing The Ultimate Fighter. He probably knew in December of last year. He had all this time to jump into the USADA testing pool. He said no. So that tells you everything you need to know, I think.
Look,
AJ?
I think it's a good move, Dave. I'll be honest. I think it's a good move when you look at the nature of the injury. That type of injury
I get it.
is nasty.
Sure.
I think taking off 1 year in what he's doing is actually the smartest move out of all the other fighters that we saw, all the way up to Anderson Silva. I mean, look, he didn't have to do much to stay relevant.
That much time, though.
What's that?
Weidman took a lot of time off after his leg break. It was like a year.
Yeah, but it's not like Conor's here. I mean, Weidman didn't look like more jacked than I'm just saying Conor did a different type of rehabilitation program than Weidman did, and that's what I'm saying. I think, he maxed it out to as much as he can, and I think it's smart. It's more than a year for Conor. It's almost 2 years, Dave.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to worry about doing too much with Cowboy Cerrone at that point, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Conor's playing it smart. He's playing it smart.
I think he may be. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be doing steroids to rehab an injury. A lot of athletes do it. It's just odd that the UFC and Conor couldn't have come to some sort of understanding. Because when Conor signs up to do the Ultimate Fighter, I think the UFC's understanding of the situation is he's going to fight Michael Chandler. That's what Chandler thought. That's what Chandler still thinks, right? So it's odd that that Conor at no point could go, I'll do the show for you guys, but the fight might have to wait. I don't think I'm ready with this injury. I still got to do things. I got to take time to really rehab and make sure I'm 100% ready for this fight. This was a serious injury. I don't know if I could fight until 2024. Why couldn't Conor have said that? I don't understand why there was this disconnect with Conor and the UFC. Because if I'm the UFC and I put Conor in this setup with Michael Chandler and we do the Ultimate Fighter and we do all of this, and then Conor's a no-show for the drug testing and we can't get him in a fight, I'm a little bit upset as a promotion. You got to figure Dana White is a little bit annoyed that Conor isn't showing up to do this fight. And Michael Chandler, we've talked about this before, he doesn't have a fight and he doesn't have an infinite amount of time to wait. You got to wonder, at what point does he say, screw the Conor fight, I just got to fight, make some money and take a fight?
That's what's going to happen, Dave. And I'm going to tell you something.
But then he might lose the biggest money fight ever. It's a tough...
Absolutely, man. I think Chandler was probably not aware of the real business plan with Conor, Dana, and the rest of the organization. I think they must have known. There's no way they didn't know that Conor was probably not going to fight. They were probably hoping that maybe there might be a slim chance that he pulls it off. But they knew deep down inside that even if he doesn't fight, you're still going to bring in the ratings. You're still going to bring the hype. You're going to still build it up. They're never going to blow the bubble. And they're just going to push it off he didn't make the USADA test. So now we have no choice. I think they knew. The only person that didn't know was Chandler, man. I think Chandler was roped in there thinking that the fight would happen.
Well,
but I'm sure Dana and Conor knew.
It
is a setup.
That's a bad move from the UFC.
Job,
you can't do that to Michael Chandler. That's not cool.
Yes, you can. They did that,
Why?
And I think that's what that was their intention.
Why does he deserve
just
that?
Just to hype it up.
To put his career on hold like that? That's a pretty shitty thing to do to a guy if you think the UFC was in on it.
I listen, man. How could they not be, dude? Let's be honest. I mean, there's so many legal contracts that are written and whatnot. I'm sure there was something in there for Conor just in case, he didn't do that test. And I think that's exactly what happened. Do you see Conor? Do you see Dana being really upset with Conor? No, man. He talks with him as still the star, man. There's no ill will towards Conor.
What did Michael Chandler do to deserve this?
I don't know, man. He was they needed a name, they needed a pawn, and that's it. No. That's what sold the show.
I disagree.
I'm telling you, man. Listen, it doesn't mean that fight won't happen.
Wouldn't put
but I think
Michael Chandler on ice on purpose, man. Because
they did, man.
but they didn't. The UFC would not do this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It doesn't make sense from a promotional standpoint to tell Michael Chandler he's going to get a fight, all the while knowing he's never going to get a fight. You think Conor and the UFC were colluding this whole time? There's no way. Michael Chandler is a guy that you could sell pay-per-views off of. He's a guy that could main event shows. You think you're going to put him on ice just because? Just to mess with him so that Conor can, coach the Ultimate Fighter? That doesn't make any sense, man. The UFC was not in on it. There's no chance in hell. Come on, man. It doesn't make sense.
I know, dude.
They don't have anything to gain by doing that.
Yeah, they gained by pushing that show. And you know what? Maybe in the beginning they were hoping.
It's not worth it at all.
I know, but I think in the beginning they did have the hope that fight would come out.
Okay.
But there must have been some clause in there that Conor put in to be able to walk away from it.
The conspiracy theories that go on in your mind, it's really amazing. It's amazing.
No, dude, listen, man, it's a business. It's a business,
exactly.
man.
It's a business, and they're trying to put fights on and make money. Not put fighters on ice and retire them prematurely when they're legitimate draws for the company, like Michael Chandler. The guy makes money for the UFC. Why would they want to sit him for 2 years when he's willing to fight? It doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? He's going to be like 45 before Conor fights him. Like, the guy's almost 40 at this point. It doesn't make sense for the UFC to not have him fight for 2 years on purpose. What?
Look, it sucks, man.
Where's Fred? I need Fred here, man. Happening. You're killing me.
Listen,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Listen, man, you can say all you want, but in the end, the UFC is not like, they're not throwing Conor out and saying, you know what, go fuck yourself and go fight and box and go into the WWE.
No.
He's a pot of gold, dude.
Yeah.
You know, he's much more important than Chandler. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but
he's much more important than Chandler. The point is that, you know, there was a clause for Conor to walk away, man. That's what happened.
There was a clause.
Yeah, for sure. I'm 100% there was a clause for Conor to walk away. And you know what? Conor's going to come back next year. I'm telling you. Will it be with Chandler? It doesn't matter
for him to walk away. There's no bout agreement signed. Do you know how the UFC contracts work?
No, I'm talking about.
You know what you have to sign up for to do UFC fights?
But I'm talking about the show. Yeah. He had something in there that
when you sign up to do the show, you sign up to do the show. You don't sign up for a fight too. That's just part of the deal with the UFC that you promote. It's part of a deal to promote a fight, but there have been many coaches that have coached the Ultimate Fighter and then because of injuries or whatever, didn't wind up fighting the opposite coach. That's happened many times, and it has nothing to do with your contract to coach the Ultimate Fighter. The bout agreement is a separate thing. There's no clause necessary. AJ needs to talk to Santa Claus. Get himself a UFC contract so he can know how it works. Yeah. Leor wants to play chat versus AJ. I think you guys are going to win tonight. Everybody wants to go against
Leor.
AJ.
Let's kick his ass, this guy, man. But listen, all to say is it sucks. You know, but right now there's a lot of other stars that are coming in, man. O'Malley is the next guy. Everybody is saying he has everything that Conor has. I mean, you know, the UFC knows, man. Who knows what can happen down the road?
I do.
You know? A Conor O'Malley fight? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be bigger than Chandler?
At what weight?
Well, that's it. They'll have to agree to some weight. But wouldn't you want to see that over Chandler? Let's be honest.
Conor versus O'Malley? No.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't really make sense.
Not yet, but next year it will. Man, there's so much dissing on Conor lately. It's ridiculous.
But O'Malley fights at 135 pounds. And
but O'Malley
fights at 155 pounds.
Listen, man, he
could go sometimes up 170 pounds. It's a pretty big gap, man.
And listen, man, that's what O'Malley fights at. But his walking weight, I'm telling you, that would be more interesting for me to see as a celebrity kind of like storyboard fight. That's what I'd like to see down the road, man. And it's going to happen because there's too much of a comparison, man.
Watch pro wrestling if you want the dream matches. This is real life, WWE, man. There's too much weight discrepancy.
Listen, dude, these guys go up and down, man. Like, you know, O'Malley doesn't walk around at that weight, let me tell you. He's a pretty big guy, man. I'm sure he walks around at 170-something. I'm telling you, this guy is big. It's like George, man. George used to walk around at 190, 192 or somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. You know? They're big boys, man.
And how much do you think Conor weighs right now?
Well, going through that show, man, I'm telling you, Conor was up at 185, if not more, man. Conor was huge. But now he's starting to trim down. In the last weeks, man, he's looking like at he's looking around the 170 mark.
Okay.
He's looking a lot different.
So you think he's the same weight as Sean O'Malley right now?
No, he's not. Maybe walking weight with Sean. Maybe they're close.
You just said 170.
Like walking weight.
You said 170, both of them.
For O'Malley, probably. Yeah, I'd say O'Malley.
You just said 170 for both.
I'd say, baby. Yeah, I'd like to get O'Malley on the line.
You just said a few moments ago.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I think O'Malley probably walks around 170.
You're agreeing with yourself. You're the one who said it. I didn't say it.
That's what I said, motherfucker. I said I think O'Malley probably walks around 170. I can't be. I don't know. I don't walk with him. I mean, he's not a fighter that I see regularly. But
you don't walk with him? You don't take walks with Sean O'Malley? You and him holding hands by the beach? No?
No. That's only with the Hollywood stars, dude.
You know what? I like walk hand in hand on a beach?
Listen. Well, I can't name a few of them. But listen, I'm going to tell you something. I would like to know what he walks.
Let me tell you something,
I like to know what he walks around.
That's nice. You want to know what he walks around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that'll be something that could happen, Dave. It's happened before, right? Diaz Conor. Let's be honest.
What the fuck are you talking about? Diaz Conor, let's be honest. Okay. I agree. I agree with you, AJ. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You look so mad at me right now, too. Stop being so
I'm not mad.
Why are you so serious? God, look at this guy. Making no sense and looking stone cold serious at the same time. Where is Fred? Fred is off tonight, and I'm disappointed. I need Fred.
He's got COVID again.
No, he doesn't.
I think he has COVID again.
No, it's because his daughter started kindergarten and things are hectic in his household.
Is that what he told you?
Yeah, that's what he told us in our group chat. Glad to know you read Fred's messages.
You guys were chatting like crazy the last 2 days. All kinds of crazy shit. Do you think I could go through that whole thing?
It's really not that much. Fred and I.
It was a lot.
Few messages
no, there was a lot going on.
Don't repeat.
It was all that whole. Yeah, I was gonna say pronouns.
Right. Because Fred's
saying certain things, and I said if I was a male donkey, my pronoun would be like he and her.
Okay, yeah, that's funny. But Fred's wife's cousin's kids go to that school where there's like a controversy over something, right? Then he was talking about that. Fred and I were talking about that. Fred. I'm just like, Fred, why you gotta care about things? Like, come on, who cares?
But it got on too long. You guys were going too deep, and I couldn't keep up with you guys.
Well, that makes sense.
But it was funny. Some of the shit was pretty funny. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, we take serious things that we disagree on, and we joke about it while still disagreeing and talking about things. It's fun. It's fun, but we can't really talk about that here on the show because I think we'll get it kicked off.
So he doesn't have COVID. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm glad you're paying attention. His daughter just started kindergarten.
Can you believe that already? Jeez.
Yeah. My son started the first grade today.
I know. That's crazy, man.
Nuts. Shout out to Eagle 999 and Jerry G69 on Rumble watching us.
The G spot.
Eagle 999 agrees with AJ, as does Brooklyn Lizard. So AJ,
there you go, Dave. Man,
here.
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think I'm alone, man. What are you drinking there, Prime?
Gatorade. A little bit. Shout out to Johnny North, too. Angelo Contagonis, my man Angelo. Members of the team over at join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net. Johnny North will be joining me tomorrow night here on Wrestling Uncensored. Big weekend in pro wrestling coming up on the Ringside Report Network. We've got WWE Payback coming up on Saturday, and then AEW All Out on Sunday. Both of these shows looking like glorified house shows that we'll talk about tomorrow. Looking pretty mid. Can't really call it a pay-per-view or a premium live event. I would just call it a televised live event. We'll talk about that tomorrow night here on the Ringside Report Network when we preview both shows. A lot of controversy in AEW these days.
Really?
CM Punk wins more fights in backstage locker rooms than he ever won in the UFC, that's for sure. But he's beating up guys called Jungle Boy. He's beating up. He beat up Luke Perry's son over the weekend. You remember the actor Luke Perry?
The actor?
Yes.
Didn't he pass away?
Yes. Christian Cage told us all about that. I understand you have a father, and I understand your father is dead.
He said that?
Christian said that to another guy who has a dead father. But he said some pretty horrible things about Jungle Boy's Jack Perry, Luke Perry's son, Jungle Boy, the AEW wrestler.
Damn.
Yeah, Christian said some horrible things about him. But CM Punk had like a fight with him last weekend during a AEW pay-per-view in London, where they had the largest paid attendance for any wrestling show in the history of wrestling. By the way. Over 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium.
Man, Wembley was rocking, man. I saw that and I was like, damn, there's a lot of fans in the UK. And you know what, man? And they were loud. They were going, like, Montreal was like pretty interesting with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn when they were here. It went wild.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But the Wembley Stadium, like, for myself, like, I like pro wrestling. I'm not into it, obviously, like yourself and Johnny. But let me tell you, I look at it and I'm impressed. I'm like, damn, that I'd like to be there. I'd like to be in that stadium. But it was amazing, man. Sami, man.
Sami Zayn.
I
like that.
Yeah, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, which I ended up, you know what the craziest part is? I told you that story where I ended up like at a party and I was like with his sister-in-law and she was talking about Sami Zayn and I'm like, isn't that the guy that Dave got in trouble with? I'm like, can you tell Sami Zayn if he knows Dave Simon from Ringside Report? And she texted him like saying,
what?
Well, remember I told you? Yeah.
Did she?
Well, I was there. Dude. Yeah, she texted him. So he wrote back, he goes, yeah, I do. But I had no idea that you guys were in a beef. But all to say is she's a super nice lady.
I've got no problem with Sami Zayn. I like Sami Zayn.
Well, he had a problem with wrestling.
You. Yeah, maybe. Sorry. A lot of people do,
That's
man. I'm not likable.
I apologize. Listen. Anyways, like then it hit me. Yeah, I think this is the guy that Dave had a beef with. But anyways, I smoothed it out, dude. Thank God for AJ, man, or else you'd have a lot of hate mail. But I'm going to tell you something. Going back to that Wembley show, man. Holy smokes, dude. That's impressive. That is impressive.
Most of the hate I get is for just saying mean things to you, actually. That's where I get all the hate mail. So it's because of you, AJ, and the things you make me say to you.
Listen, but Dave, I don't want to jump story here, but when you do get like all nasty with me, I get people that come up to me like sometimes on the street or other places, and they're like, you tell that Dave Simon, if he picks on you one more time, I'm like, nah, Dave we're best friends, man. I love Dave. We're brothers from another mother. And they get upset. Like, I'm like, no, he's just man.
Like, we're always trash talking each other.
Yeah, it's part of the show. I said, don't worry about it. I said, but they got upset. One guy got really upset. He was like, I'm coming to the studio. You got to, I'm like, no, take it easy there, dude. I know you're part of the Hells Angels, but Dave is a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, man.
All the hate mail does come from AJ's burner account, Lior. Yes, AJ has many burner accounts, and I know about it. Somebody let it slip one time, and I know AJ.
Burner. The only burner I have is like my burner. It's called Coleman. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Listen, I just got to say a quick story on Dave. There was one time years back where there was this crazy follower of Ringside Report, and he got into a beef with Dave to the point that he was threatening. Remember that guy? He was threatening to take a plane ticket to fly to Montreal and fight you. You remember? And we had to sort of ban him because you don't remember that? We had to ban him because it was fucking funny, man. The guy went wild and he's like, I'm getting a plane ticket and I want to fight Dave Simon in the street. And I'm like, dude, he's going to slap you, man.
Good luck.
And then I kind of like, I put a little bit of oil on the fire there, just to let it go. But it was so funny. But in the end, the guy really got a little bit psycho and he was talking like some crazy shit. So we had to ban him on all media, man. He's probably still listening some way or another, man. But
really?
He can't comment anymore. Don't you remember that? That was years ago, man.
On YouTube?
Yeah, I think it started. No, was it on YouTube or did it start from radio?
I don't know.
I think it
I don't
started
have
from
any
radio.
recollection of this. Maybe this was all
Yeah,
in your mind.
No,
Maybe this is
dude.
somebody else you're thinking of.
No. It's that guy from he was listening on radio, and I think he ended up coming on YouTube, and he started going like wild. And it's a lot. This is years ago, dude. How can you forget somebody who wanted to fly?
You tell me
and fight
the name
you?
after the show. I can't remember what you're talking about.
I can't. I'll have to look back and because I can't remember his name.
Don't say it
Yeah, I
on
don't
the
wanna
show.
say
Don't
his
say
name.
it on the show.
No. But it's funny, man. People don't realize, man. But that's like one. We got like so much like positive like comments, man, all the time. Everybody knows Ringside. Even Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Well, he knows about us. I don't know if it's positive.
No, he likes us. Don't worry. He's good with us. He's good. And thank God for Johnny North, because everybody loves Johnny, man. You know, if there's ever like
sad if like Sami Zayn like just thought I was a piece of garbage.
That you're a piece
it would make me a little sad because like, come on, man.
It's just Dave Simon, man.
Cool.
Even Dana White. Even Dana White likes Dave, man. Even when you stumped him in that question, like, you know,
he was smiling about it, but he was like, "Come on, man, what do you want from me?" Dana has always been very cool. Like all the times that I've met Dana White and interviewed Dana White and talked to Dana White, he's always been so cool. Like just nice and friendly and willing to answer whatever question. That's why like a lot of the shit that he gets, I understand why he gets it, but I don't know.
Who was it? The guy? Remember the guy that called you up?
Like as far as presidents of major sports organizations, like commissioners of leagues, like who would you rather have? You know? Would you rather have, you know, whatever, Roger Goodell or the guy that runs the NBA, you know, or Dana White?
Or the NHL there. What's his name there?
Is it still
Angelo,
Bettman?
what's his name?
No, it's not Bettman.
Yeah, Bettman. Nobody likes Bettman.
He still runs
there,
the
man.
NHL?
He went from basketball to NHL. I don't know how he does it.
Like, I'll take Dana White over Rob Manfred any day. You know, like if Dana White ran Major League Baseball, I think it would be better than Rob Manfred. You know, any of these commissioners of leagues, you know, Dana White is more fun than those guys, you know. And I think more trustworthy, quite frankly, which says a lot. But people don't like the commissioners of leagues, and as far as that goes, I think Dana's one of the good guys. I understand why Dana gets the shit he gets for his stance on a lot of things, and I disagree with Dana on a lot of things that he says, but I like Dana White. He's always been cool, and he always puts together the big fights. And the thing is, with all these other guys that run sports, like, the sport would exist without them. This sport that we love, it wouldn't exist without Dana White. And that's a pretty big deal. Like, if it wasn't for Dana White and the Fertittas buying the UFC and making it what it is and getting it legitimized and sanctioned across all the different states, you know, like, they brought the UFC out of the dark ages where it was like banned from TV, no holds barred, everything goes crazy. You know, it had that look, and they brought it into the mainstream. They made it a mainstream sport, and without the vision of those guys, without Dana White and the Fertittas, the UFC would not exist as a sport. So, like, you could say everything you want about Dana White, but goddamn, if not for Dana White, this sport that we love doesn't exist in the way that it currently does. Like, maybe MMA is a thing, but it maybe not. You know, that's the
you're right.
It's a question. It's like, well, maybe not. There maybe is no MMA without the UFC, without Dana and the Fertittas buying the UFC and making it a real sport. Maybe there isn't this sport, which is making a lot of money for a lot of people. And I get
around the world
that the fighters maybe aren't getting a fair cut when you look at other sports and all of this. But, I mean, this is going to sound fucked up. But at the same time, none of these sports, you know, need a guy like Dana White to exist, because all these sports existed before all these other guys ran them. Dana White, without Dana White, MMA isn't a sport the way we know it, where guys are making millions of dollars. So, like, it's a different thing with Dana. You know, like, he's a promoter, he's a president of the league, but he's also one of the founders of the sport and one of the reasons why the sport exists as an actual sport and not some sort of sideshow, freak show type of thing where you can't even find it on pay-per-view, you know?
Look, you're right. He has, and just to jump into it, like, you know, I agree with you. It would have been just considered an extreme sport on some like fifth channel, maybe that you can't even find, you know, on regular television. You know, you might find it on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with you, because in 2000, when Dana White and the Fertitta brothers took over from the original UFC, you know, coming from Ricks and Gracie and all the rest of them that started back in 1992, the UFC's been around since 1992.
93.
And 93, like 92, 93 coming into it. And the thing is that it was around for a long time. Extremely exciting, man. When it came out, there was hype around the world. But then it kind of sort of fizzled out where it became a little bit extreme and it was banned all over the place. You know, coming into 2000, when they bought it for like $2 million, I think it was. Talk about an investment. They bought it for $2 million and sold it for how much? $4 billion? That was incredible. 20 years later, literally. And that's the power of the UFC. The UFC is a household name, man, just like the NHL, just like MLB, you know, and most people, you know, think UFC is the sport when it's just the, you know, the acronym for the Ultimate Fighting Championship that came in. And when I wasn't joking before screaming Trump and whatnot, because in the early days of 2000, when the UFC was banned in a lot of states and they couldn't play in a lot of different venues, you know, Donald Trump actually brought in the UFC with Dana White. That's why there's so much like friendship between them, because Trump allowed it to play out in his casinos, and he kept supporting it. So there's a lot of history that most people don't know about the UFC, and that's why, like, when they see Trump and Trump coming, Trump was part of what the UFC is today. If that in 2000 they didn't get that, I guess, the magic bean in a sense, you know, you wouldn't have like, you know, Jack and the Beanstalk right now, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger, you know.
Trump
and that's
has been
the thing.
A big proponent of combat sports. He held an early WrestleMania at his casino as well when Vince really needed him to kind of step up and help out. Trump has always supported UFC and WWE. Doesn't mean, you know, he's a good president of America, but that's another question. You know, that's AJ's.
Where's Freddie?
That's AJ to talk about that. I mean, I'm not really. I mean, maybe he could be the first president from jail. I think that would be pretty gangster move.
Listen, man, how many presidents have been in the UFC and the WWE? Let's think about it. You know, you can say all you want about Trump, but Trump's been in the WWE. He's been in the UFC. Like, he's involved, and you know what? He's involved, and that's the key thing. You know?
Is it the key thing?
How many others
for a president?
It is, man.
To be involved in wrestling and pro
He's part of
cage fighting.
The people, man.
Is it though? He is part of the people. He does yeah. I mean, there is something to, you know, them feeling more like he's part of us because he's a UFC fan apparently. But I don't know, when he's pressed on who his UFC favorites are, all he can really say is Kobe Covington. So.
Well, Colby got into a big fight like this week as well. Did you see that whole scrap? Like he was, it just happened this week. I sent you the video actually. It was, Colby was in the news, man. You know, supporting his buddy to fight in. I forgot the organization, but anyways, like the fighter started like flipping the bird at Colby, and Colby, man, just told him like whatever, and the fighter decided to jump up and attack Colby. Look, you could say all you want about.
Where was this?
About
I didn't see this.
It was in some. Yeah, I sent you the link. I'm sure I sent it to you. But all to say is that, listen.
Wasn't that Cody Garbrandt?
It was Cody. It wasn't Colby. Sorry.
Shit.
Yeah, it was Cody. I apologize. It was Cody.
Holy shit, man.
It's all right,
Are you
man.
okay?
Take it easy, man.
Forget it.
I just slipped on the fucking
Your
name.
time is done, AJ.
Motherfucker.
Your time is up. My time is now. Because last week, you sucked. All right? Your parlay.
Well, no,
garbage.
I didn't. I didn't really suck, dude.
You did suck.
No, I didn't, man. I didn't suck. I was right on Max Holloway.
You didn't suck, but you didn't win. Your parlay was actually pretty close, though. You were what, one fight off?
That's all. All it was because of Chicadis. All it was because of Chicadis. Or else Chickadee. And I'm going to tell you something.
Chickadees.
If I would have pulled, if Leroy would have been able to pull it off, I would have been 6 for 6.
You would have been.
Weekends in a row, man. Oh. You know, 5-fight parlay and a 6-fight parlay. But, you know, Chickadees blew it for me.
Yeah, Team Dave came through with another win on my parlay. I think that's 2 weeks in a row that and my parlay hits, right, AJ? Fred's parlay also hit with Giga Chikadze and Anthony Smith. That was Fred's parlay. He had Giga and Smith. I gave you Junior Tafa, Aaron Blanchfield, and Max Holloway. They all won. Yeah. Tafa with a very quick knockout of Parker Porter in the first round. Aaron Blanchfield, an impressive unanimous decision win over Tyler Santos. And Max Holloway knocking out the Korean Zombie in the main event. The Singapore crowd very much into that fight, very much into the Korean Zombie. Wild fight. And Holloway was really beating up the Korean Zombie in the first couple rounds. Zombie came out in the third round, just going full zombie style, throwing wild punches. Like, he was just wide open. He was like, I'm throwing no defense. I'm just going full offense and seeing what happens. And he found out what happened. He had about 23 seconds of that in him before Max Holloway knocked him out. A big, big punch, dropped Zombie, and that was it. That's why you don't open up all the way against Max Holloway, because he's going to make you pay for it. I mean, it's a 50-50 kind of coin flip move, you know. He went full Wanderlei Silva on him. You know, he went all bah, 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 bah. No offense, just throwing a million punches and seeing what happened. He found out, though. Max Holloway took care of him.
No, absolutely, man. That step back, you know, he threw that right, boom. The thing is that it was working. And I was like, holy shit, the Zombie's going to actually beat Max, because it looked like Max was like looking very vulnerable. Look, the Zombie knew that this would be his last fight. He threw everything in there. He just went broke. You know, he threw the Fist of Fury, and it didn't work for him. But you know what? At least he made it exciting. The fans, man, went wild. Win or lose, a lot of respect for the Zombie. The guy's been there forever. You know, what a great athlete for Korea. You know, a super, super nice guy.
And he retired. He retired after the fight.
We knew it was going to be his last fight. You know, and to beat Max Holloway, let's be honest. You know, you're fighting Max Holloway. You know, the only way you're going to beat Max is that you just go wild and you get that lucky punch and that Max goes down. Anything else, you're going to lose. If it's going to go the distance, Max is going to beat you. Max is he's one hell of a fighter. He's the champion without having the championship belt on him. This guy is the second best guy in the world. And you know what? It's hard to beat him. That's why, like, you know, I knew the Zombie was going to retire. I knew he was going to retire with a loss, but I wanted him to have that loss where he could have almost won. It was a point where you're like, holy shit, he might pull it off. And then it came to the reality, man.
Yeah.
You know, bedtime for Monzo there or whatever, and he was done. And you know what?
Holloway is just great. He might be the best boxer in the UFC. He's got the best hands.
And the Zombie is going to be a fighter. You know, I'm sure he's going to be in the UFC Hall of Fame at some point.
Yeah,
I mean, this guy was, you know, he's a legend. And you know what? The fans supported him all the way through, even after that loss, man. It was heartbreaking. But holy smokes, man. Like, you know, the Asian crowd is incredible, man. They support in Singapore, man. They're huge MMA fans. They're huge UFC fans. And the levels of fighting in Korea, in China, you know, and everywhere else. I mean, Thailand, obviously, you know, always been a big game for Muay Thai. But I'm just saying, on the MMA circuit, man, they're growing. And Wei Li is an example of that, and there's so many more fighters. I'm looking at some of them, and I'm like, holy shit, man. You know, the UFC invested a lot of money in Singapore to open up the center, and you can see that there's a lot of drive, man, and there's a lot of love, you know, not only for like Chinese fighters, but for Korean fighters. Because remember, they were in Singapore, man, and they love the Korean Zombie.
They love the Korean Zombie. Zombie got a lot of love, and he's definitely one of the most exciting fighters in the history of the UFC, one of the top featherweights ever in the sport, fighting for the title twice. against
and
Jose
Asian martial
Aldo,
arts,
and
man.
then Brian Ortega having good fights there. Korean Zombie had a hell of a career. Those fights with Leonard Garcia were legendary. The one in WEC really opened him up to the world, especially the MMA world. I remember a time when you couldn't walk around a UFC show or anything around MMA without seeing those Korean Zombie t-shirts. He was a major star based off one fight. He cashed in, he became a star, and he's been a star for about 10 years now in the UFC. The only regret, I think, is the fact that he had 2 years taken away from his MMA career because he had to go do that mandatory military service in Korea, which is mandatory for all Koreans. They have to do 2 years of military service. So right in the prime of his UFC career, he had to step away from the sport and go do military service. I think, he would have had more wins and more success had he not had to leave when he was really just kind of entering his prime. He had that fight with Aldo that he lost, but I think he dislocated his shoulder late in the fight, and he was looking good in that fight. There was promise there for the Korean Zombie, and he had to step away at a very key time, a very key age for an MMA fighter, and I think that hurt his overall career as far as what he was able to accomplish, because you take 2 years away from a guy in his prime, 2
years is a lot, man.
It makes a difference. 2 years is a very long time. So great career for the Korean Zombie. Awesome entrance. Very cool to see the crowd singing his song as he walked in. And a really good fight. Like, him and Holloway had a great fight, and Holloway winning was great for me because I cashed in on my parlay. So that was great.
But it's a great way to end your career,
every week. We are crushing it. I gave you O'Malley a couple weeks ago to win. My parlay won a couple weeks ago with O'Malley. We cashed in big time at UFC 292. We followed up last weekend with another 3-fight parlay that cashed in. 10 made you 60 something, or 20 made you $60, something like that. It was pretty good.
Well, my 5-fight parlay was 20 for 260, I believe, for 292.
Yeah.
So I mean, that paid off well, man.
Yeah.
But bet99.com, man. Enter Ringside.
Enter Ringside?
Yeah, you got to enter Ringside, man. The code, man.
Enter the promo code Ringside when you sign up at bet99.com. Is that what you're trying to say?
Am I talking like Korean?
No, but you're just not really giving a lot of information. Like,
but I'm waiting for you. I'm trying to open it up for you, man.
Assume what you're saying people don't know about already. So when you say bet99.com, enter Ringside, people go, what is that strange man saying? What is he talking about? Okay.
Korean Zombie.
So UFC Paris this weekend. Let's do the preview right now. Speaking of fights, speaking of picks, I know AJ is very excited because 2 of his favorite fighters will be fighting. Ciryl Gane in the main event, fresh off his loss to Jon Jones. That devastating first-round submission loss. How will Ciryl bounce back? Can he bounce back taking on a guy who can grapple, the Moldovan monster, the polar bear, Sergey Spivac, 28 years old, a big old dude with some pretty good grappling ability, submitted Derek Lewis in his last fight. He's won 3 in a row here in the UFC. A big, strong, dangerous test for Ciryl Gane, the French striker. Big, strong, extremely athletic, moves very well. Everybody thinks Ciryl Gane keeps this fight standing. He wins. Sergey Spivac takes him down. Could be trouble for Ciryl. Ciryl Gane, minus 170, the favorite. Not a huge favorite in his home of Paris, France. Sergey Spivac, plus 145, the underdog. I think there are reasons why Ciryl isn't a huge favorite, and most of those reasons are his last fight. Just the way he looked, what Jon Jones was able to do to him. But Sergey Spivac is not Jon Jones. And I don't think this will be the same fight. I think Ciryl will know that Sergey is going to be trying to take him down. He will be far more aware of that. I think that last fight that he had with Jon Jones opened his eyes to what MMA is really about. He's going to be careful, and he's going to be on his feet, and he's going to be landing strikes, and I think he knocks out Sergey Spivac. We saw Tom Aspinall knock out Sergey Spivac a few years ago with a first-round finish. I could see Cyril doing the same thing. I think that Cyril is going to be able to hurt this guy and put him away. Sergey Spivac has lost twice in his career to to knockouts, one to Walt Harris, one to Tom Aspinall. I think that shows that he can be hurt, he can be finished, and I think Cyril Gane will be able to do that in the main event. AJ, I know you're on Cyril Gane, right? You think he's going to win, he's going to strike, he's going to knock out Sergey?
Look, Spivac is going to be pretty much like kind of like Tibura. Like, you got a heavyweight. That fight's like a heavyweight. And I heard some interesting things, and there's a few things that make sense. Cyril Gane had a rough fight with John Jones. He knows that, and he's been working on that takedown defense all year, working with some of the best guys in the game. And the thing is that shit made him mad. And I've never heard Cyril Gane say, I'm mad about that loss. And you're right, Dave. Cyril Gane is the nicest guy you can imagine. He's a gentle giant, and I think maybe he got a bit, complacent as he went through because he is that good. But the John Jones fight made him realize there's a lot more to the game, and he got mad from that loss. It was an embarrassing loss. It's a hard one to swallow, especially when you fought Francis Ngannou. And to be honest, and I keep repeating, is that the fifth round called it all. If Cyril Gane would have won that fifth round, he would have been champion over Ngannou. That's how close of a fight that was. And the thing with Cyril Gane is, as a heavyweight, he makes heavyweights look exactly that, like a heavyweight. Cyril Gane moves so fast. He's so muscular. He's got that strength. He's got that footwork. He moves like a middleweight, and that's the difference. He makes all these guys look like dinosaurs. Tibura, Spivac, pretty much the same. They're going to try to take him down. That's their game. They're going to try to take him down, take top control, ground and pound. But if they cannot do that, if the takedown defense of Cyril Gane is much better, which I think it is, he's back in the game, man, for contention. This guy is dangerous. He had the shittiest fight you can imagine. Everybody's had that. George St. Pierre, Matt Serra, shittiest fight ever. Came back like a demon. George just went up in stock. And I think Cyril Gane is one of those guys. I think he had such a shitty fight that's going to be on everyone's mind, especially his, because it was that embarrassing. But let's not forget, he made Francis Ngannou go to the fifth. And when you look at some of the losses by Spivac, like you said, Walt Harris, great fighter, but nowhere close to Cyril Gane. Marcin Tybura, nowhere close to Cyril Gane. Mm-hmm. Tom Aspinall, well, that's a different story.
Pretty close.
Tom Aspinall is pretty close. We'll see how it goes in the future, man. But that'd be a crazy, crazy fight because these two guys they move like middleweights. They don't walk around and move around like a heavyweight. And that's the thing. The heavyweight division is getting very dangerous, and these are the names that are going to be there. So look, Spivac is an amazing guy, man. He's dangerous. On the ground, he is dangerous. But I think the striking power of Cyril Gane, his Muay Thai capabilities, and going 5 rounds, that guy's conditioning is going to be exceptional. He's going to make up for the John Jones loss on Spivac. He's going to make everybody realize that maybe John Jones got lucky. That's what he wants. Everybody could say that John Jones obviously beat him, but he's going to make people think that maybe John Jones got lucky with that drop, because in that fight, Cyril Gane look good for the first couple of seconds. The 10-15 seconds going into that fight against John Jones, he looked good. Then he fucked up, got on his back. John Jones is an expert, has a lot of experience behind him, and got that neck, and that's how he controlled him. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight on Saturday. I think we're going to see Cyril Gane as what he really is, man. This guy was a champion, held the belt for a little while, and he's coming back for it. Interim, but still there.
Cyril Gane, I think he's going to pull it off in the main event. Main card starts at 3 p.m. Eastern time. First prelim is at noon. I see some questions there on Rumble over, when the start time. It's in Paris, so it's a different start time, but it is a noon Eastern for the first prelim, and then 3 p.m. is when the main card is supposed to start there in Paris. And AJ and I agreeing in the main event. I know we'll disagree in the co-main event because AJ is going to be picking Manon Fiorot. He's a big fan. He's very impressed. Manon is 10-1. She has won 10 straight in her pro career, including 5 in a row now in the UFC. She takes on the former UFC strawweight champion, moving up to flyweight here, Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas coming off that split decision loss to Carla Esparza back in May of last year. She's taken quite a bit of time off, gotten herself a little bit bigger, and prepared for this flyweight contest. And I think preparation is key for a fighter like Manon Fiorot, who comes in with a karate background, who's going to bring that type of striking style to Rose. And I don't know if there are any coaches better than Trevor Whitman to game plan against a striker. And I think for Rose Namajunas, she's going to be well prepared with her coaching, with her game plan. She's a championship level fighter. This is a 3-round fight. And even though she's fighting in Manon's backyard, I think she'll still be able to get the victory and the fans on her side because everybody loves Thug Rose. I think that the Paris fans will cheer Manon, but they will also cheer Rose because you cannot boo Rose Namajunas. I think it is physically impossible to dislike Rose Namajunas, even if she's fighting the hometown Manon Fiorot. Manon, 33 years old. I can give you one word on that. Let me tell you something, AJ. Rose is 31 years old. She is just entering her MMA prime. She was a world champion who defeated Zhang Wei Li twice. Okay? She is very, very high level. Manon is too. If Manon wins this fight, she's probably up next against the winner of Grasso and Shevchenko for the flyweight title. But she's got to get through Thug Rose, and I don't think she does it. I think that, Manon is very impressive. She's won a lot of fights, but Thug Rose right now at plus 155 as an underdog, I think has a lot to do with her last fight and how she looked against Esparza. But if you've seen Rose before, she bounces back pretty well from losses, and she's got power, and she's got the ability in all aspects of MMA to beat you everywhere. Standing, on the ground. She's got submissions. She's got wrestling. She's got good striking. I think Rose Namajunas wins this fight. I think she wins by decision as well. So I've got Rose Namajunas plus 155, and Rose by decision is plus 300. So you might want to throw that one in there as well over at bet99.com.
Look, Dave, I'm going to tell you something. One word or 2 words. Carla Esparza, man. One of the worst fights in UFC history. That was Rose's fight. You couldn't get any worse than that. And you're talking about her corner. Her corner sucked in that fight. They were convincing her that she was winning. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what kind of fight they were dreaming about. But that's the problem. You're talking about a corner and all these coaches and whatever. That was a horrible coaching decision on that fight. And the thing with Rose is, I love Rose, but moving up to flyweight, this is going to be a different game. She's coming up against Manon Fiorot. A lot of people don't know Manon. I know Manon from Abu Dhabi, and this girl is the future champion right there, hands down. The thing with Rose is, she's only 31 years old. And I was talking with someone this week, and I was saying, the thing with Rose is, it depends on her mental game. When she gets into that fight, it really depends on what's going on in her mind or how her coaches are prepping her up and all that kind of stuff. When these factors are something that's going to make or break you in a fight, I'm concerned. I really think, in my opinion, that Rose is on this fight on Saturday, we're going to see if her peak is past her. I think her better days are gone at 31 years old. I think she's going to become the gatekeeper of that division in some sense. And I really think that Manon Fiorot, people haven't seen Manon Fiorot fight. Let me tell you, her boxing skills are going to overwhelm Rose. Rose doesn't know what she's going up against. Yeah, they say she has better striking, this and that. Fiorot smashed Shokagian. And I'm going to tell you, this fight...
decision.
Well, decision, but still, man, it was a very dominant every round win, man. And that's the thing with Manon Fiorot. We haven't seen a lot of her grappling capabilities, but let me tell you, man, this girl is dangerous. She's got that same aura, in my opinion, like that Ronda Rousey, and she's gonna make a name on herself on Saturday night by beating Rose. This is the future of that division. Manon Fiorot will be the champion. She's unbelievable. And she's destined to win, man, and destined to be champion. I said that from years ago. Manon Fiorot, man. When I saw her fight Corinne Laframboise back in those days, I'm like, what the fuck, man? She was like, her hands were like incredible.
You also said here she is that today. Cyril Gane was going to beat John Jones. Let's just be clear.
And I said, no. Let's be clear. No. Let's be clear, Dave. You're wrong on that. I was the first guy to say that Cyril Gane one day would hold the championship belt in the UFC before he was in the UFC. And guess what happened? He did, interim or not.
You say
he
that
was
about
still the champion fighting for the belt.
You said that about Johnny Walker.
I was right. Well, Johnny Walker fucked himself up with the superworm. But I said Cyril Gane, when he was fighting in TKO, I saw this guy, and I said he's going to be a future UFC champion in the heavyweight division. And I was right. And he got it. He lost to Nagano in that fifth. But I knew he was going to make his way there. And I'm telling you, Manon Fiorot will be there. And Johnny Walker had a lot of...
You're trying to avoid the fact that you picked him to beat John Jones.
Well, I did. I thought he would beat John Jones, and I think it was
Alexander Gustafsson would beat him too.
Well, Alexander Gustafsson in that first fight, man, that was one hell of a fight.
You picked him in the second fight, AJ.
I did, because I thought he was gonna do exactly what he did in the first, where it was
what
like either or. And
sometimes you're wrong, opinions. And I think on Saturday night you will be wrong as well. I'm going with Rose Namajunas over Manon Fiorot. All right.
I'm sorry, it's going to be Allez les Bleus, man. Manon Fiorot. And you know what? Not that I don't disagree with you, Dave. It's Rose. She's dangerous, man. She beat Weili twice. It's just that I think that mental game, man, is going to be needed. She needs to be sharp, man. She needs to be focused. She needs to be on her game, because Manon Fiorot, man, is a heavy punisher, man. She's got hands, man, that move so fast. Her combinations, her footwork, everything. If Rose's defense is not there, she's going to be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? She's going to be in trouble. Manon Fiorot, man, is, I'm telling you, the future champion of that division. Not just for the win, the future champion.
I think Rose is a better wrestler. That might help.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but we don't really know how good her wrestling defense is right now. And if Rose attempts and she cannot succeed, we'll know on Saturday night. It's going to be a rough night for her.
Right. I'm just saying Rose is very high level, still in the prime of her career. Beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice, beat Zhang Weili twice. We'll see. It's a big fight for sure. Odds makers agree with you, AJ, but I pick underdogs in women's MMA all the time. And I like Thug Rose Namajunas in the co-main event, and I'll give you my parlay. I'm not putting Rose in my parlay. I'm putting her on a side bet. So put a side bet down on Rose Namajunas for your boy. Plus 155. The underdog is Thug Rose. Here is my parlay. We're going to go with the main event. I like Cyril Gane in a major way. I think minus 170 is really good value on our boy Cyril. This is a fight for him. It's in Paris. It's set up for the Cyril show. This is UFC Cyril Gane. He is the one selling tickets in Paris. He is the reason that the UFC is coming here. The UFC, after that terrible loss to John Jones, is not setting up Cyril Gane to lose. They're setting him up to win. This is supposed to be a win for Cyril Gane. And when a fight is supposed to be a win in your home country, in the main event, and you're only minus 170, I like those odds. So I'm going with Cyril Gane. This is a fight for him. Cyril minus 170. And I'm also going with a fight for Colin Loughran out of Ireland. This guy, undefeated, knocking every opponent out, coming in as a short notice replacement to take on Taylor Lapilus. One of the best bantamweights in Europe. This guy, Colin Loughran, I believe is going to get a win and may even get a stoppage. So I like Loughran plus 140. And there's a Team Dave parlay plus 281. 20 gets you 76-24. Not a huge payout, but my payouts are consistent. Consistency is key. Keep flipping that money. Keep rolling it over. keep making the dollars for Team Dave. And hey, maybe you don't want to bet 20. Maybe you got deeper pockets. Maybe you want to bet $100. Look at that. You get 381 and 18 if you win on that 2-fight parlay, which is pretty good. What if you want to bet more? What if you want to bet $50,000?
Let's see that.
I don't know. I think I put too many zeros.
Put the 5.
50.
Yeah, 5 million.
You get $190,000 for $50,000, baby. Oh man, that's a lot of money.
This is a Drake moment, man. If Drake is listening, maybe listen to Dave, man. You'll make some money.
Yeah, if you put like a Drake million, you know.
He drops to that amount all the time.
Yeah, Drake, $500,000 for Drake. $500,000 for Drake. You're winning $1.9 million, Drake, on $500,000. You're winning $1.9 million on $500,000, man. That's a lot of money, Drake. Come on, Drake. I know your new album, For the Dogs, is coming out. This is a way to celebrate. Go with my Irish dog, Colin Loughran. Come on, Drake. Put $500,000 down over at bet99.com. You win $1.9 million. Turn $500,000 into $2 million, Drake. You could do it, baby. Cyril Gane, your boy from France. I know you like people from France, Drake. You impregnated one. And Colin Loughran, baby. For the Dogs. That's my Drake parlay. Team Dave. We also like Rose Namajunas as a side bet, Drizzy. Drizzy.
Yeah. I don't know about that one, Drake.
Well, AJ doesn't like it, but AJ likes my Team Dave $1 million parlay. It's the $1 million parlay.
I do like that one, man.
All right, what do you got for me,
man?
jabroni?
And then, you know what? It's over. Ringside Report retires, man. Listen, man, I'm going to go with, again,
Drake,
the long parlay.
If you win, Drake, you have to give me, $200,000. Maybe not. No, fuck that. I'll take $10,000. Honestly, I just want a little piece.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I thought you were going to say at least $500,000, man.
No,
come on,
I'm
Dave.
being cool, man. I'll keep giving him picks, and then, 10 grand every week. That'll add up, Keep winning, keep making the money.
I know
he's the bank,
man, but
I just need somebody to be the bank. I can't be betting $50,000 because if I lose, which is going to happen once every maybe 3 to 4 weeks, I'll have a losing parlay, and then it's like, oh shit, now I can't.
But you've been doing pretty well, man. You've been hitting it, man. You've been hitting that target.
I've been doing well,
man.
but once in a while, you're gonna, I played baseball for a long time, man. I follow the averages. You're gonna hit, but you're not gonna hit every time. You gotta follow the averages. So, that's why I'm staying real safe this weekend. I was gonna throw Rose Namajunas on my parlay, but I'm like, that's the only fight where I go.
AJ convinced you, man.
Let's just. Well, no, I think she's gonna win, and I'm still gonna bet on her on a side bet. But to make money, Cyril and Loughran, I think, is a really good way to make money. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to get the Ringside Report Network to make some money. And then, if we could hit on a nice bet like Rose Namajunas on the side or Sean O'Malley on the side, you want to throw a little side bet on some underdog, that's smart moves. So you go on that, but you stick with your smart parlay and then. All right, what do you got for me?
Well, man, I'm going to tell you, I like that pick of yours. Those two, man, could come out. That Irish prospect is something. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I know. He's good.
He's something. He was supposed to be fighting originally. Who the hell was he supposed to be fighting? Yanis Gemuri. I thought that was originally. And
No.
You sure about that? I thought he was supposed to fight Yanis on the same card. But all to say,
I don't think so.
Yeah,
they were.
I'm
pretty sure he came in as a short notice.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be Yanis against.
Maybe.
Yeah, that was originally. Now Yanis is fighting William Gomez, which I'm going to tell you my pick on that one. So I think that's a really
Yanis
good fight.
In that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yanis is the sharper bet on that one. That's why going up against the Irish prospect, it was best that he pulled away from that. He'll have a win on this fight because going up against Cowlin, it was probably going to be a rough night for him. So all
you're
to
right
say
about
is,
that.
man,
he was supposed to fight on this card. It just stuff got moved around.
Yeah, they got. There's two fights that got moved around. You know, and the thing is that I'm gonna go from the top. I'm gonna go with the long shot, not the long shot, but the long parlay. I like going the distance because I like that big payout. And that's the thing with Ringside. Once in a while, AJ pulls off that big money for you, man.
Yeah, but you've lost so much in the process that when he does pay out, it's really not worth it. You're barely recouping your losses.
Listen, man, Listen, last week was just that one fight, man, or that would have been 6 out of 6, and the payout was nice. It was a couple thousand,
you say
man.
that. Every week you go, was just that one fight.
Listen, it had to be Chikadis that
say that every week, it means you're losing every week.
No. I'm here to win, bud. Whoa. It's all about winning. Like Mike Tyson says, you're going that ring to win. Here's my winning
you
pick.
Don't really have your own money behind it, so it doesn't really carry much weight. You know that I'm putting money down. You see me when I'm winning. I show you the bets. You're just kind of pretending.
Pull it up, Dave. Pretending. I'm bringing in the money, the big money. Listen, just start with me. Bear with me, Dave.
Just give me a fucking pick.
I'm waiting for you. I didn't think you were ready, motherfucker.
I'm ready.
Okay, Cyril Gane.
Yeah, no shit. Cyril Gane, Manon Fiorot. Next, Benoit Saint-Denis or Thiago Moises?
Who do you think I was going to go with?
Saint-Denis.
Yes, Saint-Denis.
You're going with Volkan over Bogdan?
No, not at all, man.
You're going Bogdan over Volkan?
Oh, yes, man. And if you don't know Bogdan, holy smokes, man. That's what I'm saying. That pick there, Bogdan he's a UFC newcomer coming into the game. He's fighting one of the top 10, like in his first fight. That says something. The UFC knows something about Bogdan that most people don't. And let me tell you, Bogdan, I seen his highlight reels. This guy has such a heavy right that he fucks up people with just a straight jab. Let me tell you, if this fight ends, it's going to be a knockout. Like Ozdemir, I like him. Great fighter. But Bogdan is a dangerous beast. If you just want to go with a straight bet, put it down on Bogdan.
Yeah, Bogdan by knockout even. Bogdan by knockout. Right now, Bogdan plus 155 the dog. I don't see a Bogdan by knockout thing right now, but under 1.5 rounds, minus 145. So people are thinking this fight's going to be quick. And if it is quick, I would go with Bogdan. I actually agree with that. Bogdan plus 155. It's that makes sense to me. What else?
He's tough, man. He comes in wild. No, I'm going to go right down the pipe here. And then I'm going to go with Yanis, man. He was, this is a changeover fight. I think Yanis is going to be too overwhelming for Gomez. Gomez, good fighter, but he doesn't have that strength. Gimori is going to come in, man, hard. 12-1. I think the win is going his way. And then I'm going to end it with, obviously, an Italian name, man. I'm going to send it with the Zucchini.
Manolo.
Yeah. Manolo Zucchini. Yeah, Jeez. Zucchini, man. That's going to be the beginning of my parlay. And I think Zucchini is going to pull it off, man. Very, very good fighter. The guy, let me see what he has. He's 11-3 with 8 knockouts, 1 submission win on his record. This guy goes for the gold, man. That's another knockout win right there. 11-2. It's going to be an interesting night. This is the type of parlay that pays, man. I think my card.
It's crazy.
This is the type. It's ridiculous. Yeah, this is the type of parlay that will win, and I'm going right down that pipe. Starting with the Zucchini.
Put money on it if you're saying that.
I swear, if that Zucchini doesn't win, listen. If that Zucchini doesn't pull it off the beginning and everything else wins, I swear, man. Dude. Voyage to Italy, like that crazy fan of yours that wanted to beat you. I'm gonna do it the other way. Going to wherever he's from, Naples. So that's it, man. What does it pay?
A stupid amount. You'll never win on this parlay. Here's AJ's parlay that'll never actually win.
You never know, man.
So much. Look, I'm telling you, if you actually believe in yourself, which you don't, you would bet.
I always believe in myself, man. Rule number 1: always believe in yourself.
Actually believe.
Who says I don't bet? You think I tell you everything of my personal life, dude? I can't have to hold some things back.
If you bet, you would tell me.
I don't like talking money. I don't talk.
Tell me. You would stop lying. Fucking lie.
Dave.
Don't lie. You can lie to me, but don't lie to the Ringside Report universe, man. That's wrong. Don't lie to them. Man. Don't lie to the people. I don't lie to them. I tell them the truth.
You sound like a pure Biden supporter. Okay,
I always tell the truth. Shut up, AJ. Biden. Go fuck yourself. Why don't you choke on a Biden? Goddamn.
Or on the zucchini. Go on. Let me see. I'm curious, man.
Cyril Gane, Manon Fiorot, Benoit Saint-Denis, Bogdan Goskov. This is where it gets interesting because this is where the underdogs come in. Bogdan plus 155. Yanis Gimuri plus 180.
Oh, yeah.
And then the big one, Manolo Zacchini from Italy who's the biggest underdog on AJ's card and also will open up this card. So AJ will have to suffer the defeat right off the bat if his biggest underdog fails, and then his parlay will be bust as soon as it begins, which I am predicting will happen. I'm going to go bet on Morgan Charrier just because AJ's betting on Manolo Zucchini. I just don't believe in it because the odds on this parlay are stupid big, and you're not cashing in on this, AJ. I'm sorry. It's just outrageous.
You know what?
It's so unlikely.
Yeah,
odds,
let me write this down.
Odds are, there for mathematical reasons. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why people don't get rich off gambling. You got to be a little bit more conservative, a little bit smarter with it. And this is just
absolutely.
A wild
but sometimes
parlay.
you got to take a chance. Sometimes you got to take a chance, just like the zucchini. A lot of people in betting don't know who the zucchini is. He's coming in a relative unknown. No one knows.
$20 pays the rent. $2,063.88 at bet99.com. It's a plus 10,219 parlay, which is crazy. Plus 10.
This is it, man.
It's a plus 10,000. Would you bet on a plus 10,000 fighter?
I mean, for $20,
my parlay is plus 281. Your parlay is plus 10,219. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nice.
There's a difference. My parlay, you bet 20, you win like 70. Your parlay, you bet 20, you win 2,000.
Look, there's a lot of fighters there, which I'm surprised. Even look at Bogdan. Bogdan is he? What's he at? Let me see. Yeah, he's
plus
an underdog.
155.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm like, how they don't know Bogdan? Okay, everybody knows Vladimir because he's in the UFC, but nobody knows all these guys coming up from different circuits where they're like, oh, I don't know about him. This guy is dangerous, man.
Yeah.
And I've seen him fighting, and I'm like, what the hell? Nobody gets a fight where the top 10.
No, Bogdan is legit. Like, I feel you. But how about this? I think Manolo might win. I think Manolo might win. I think Giannis might win. I think Bogdan might win. I think BSD will win, Benoit Saint Denis. But guess what? Your parlay is going to die on Manon Fiorot, your biggest favorite. Your biggest favorite is going to kill your parlay when Rose beats her in the co-main event. And you're going to be so mad because you're going to be so close to this crazy parlay and everything's going to be going well. And if you would have just bet on your underdogs, you would have cashed in so huge. Like the Manolo, Giannis, Bogdan parlay is good enough. But you have to get greedy, and you have to throw all these other fights in there. And I'm telling you, one of these is going to be what screws you. Maybe it'll be Cyril. Maybe it'll be Manon. But it'll be one of these that screws you, AJ. I'll bet anything on that. Anything.
Listen, it's going to be a rough Saturday afternoon, man. Thug is, I think, man, she's going to be pondering, like, retirement. I'm telling you. If she's not going to be continuing as the gatekeeper, I'm telling you, her days are numbered. And it's going to come with Manon Fiorot, man. Now you're going to see high-level, like, striking skills. The Rose is not the same, dude.
Cool. Bet on AJ's parlay. Good luck to you. I hope you win. I hope you win, AJ. Big money. But I think the Team Dave parlay is a little bit more likely to cash in. And I would say it's more likely because mathematically, if you look at it, it is far more likely that my parlay will cash in.
Listen, nobody has to go with one or the other.
If you look at the numbers.
Listen, nobody has to go with like one or the other. Listen, Dave, you could go with both parlays, man. Instead of putting down $20, you put 10 and 10. What if you got to lose? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident with my parlay just because those underdogs are so unknown to like a lot of UFC fight fans. They're just unknown. And to the bookkeepers too. Like even with Bogdan, I mean, like they don't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can win or lose, obviously, right?
And I looked at the dogs, and I thought that Colin Lachran was my best underdog pick.
He's a good one, dude.
I think he was the best one. That's why I put him on my parlay.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, even fighting a guy like Yanis, I mean, that would have been a hell of a fight between him and Yanis. But Yanis moving into another fight, all of a sudden, like, if you didn't know much about him and his game, you would pick the Irish prospect for sure from that fight. But now moving in to this other fight, man, that's a good pick to go with. Gomez is not as strong, man. It's gonna be a tough fight for him. A great move for Yanis to continue with his win streak. It's going to be an interesting parlay on Saturday.
That is UFC Paris this coming Saturday. Prelims at noon, main card at 3 p.m. Bet with the Ringside Report Network over at bet99.com. Use that promo code Ringside when you sign up. And just before we go, I know AJ is very excited about Manon Fiorot because she fought Corinne Laframboise, who is a friend of the show. And Corinne will be fighting on Tuesday night, September the 5th. Coming up on Tuesday, she will be having her Dana White Contender Series fight. So that is coming up. She's going to be fighting for a UFC contract. It'll be on TV. I think it'll be on TV here in Canada. I know TV in the U.S. Dana White Contender Series every Tuesday night. They sign a lot of fighters, a lot of big names like Sean O'Malley have come out of the Dana White Contender Series. And Corinne Laframboise is going to be fighting this coming Tuesday. So that's a really big fight for Corinne. And, it's a shot for her to get into the UFC, which is massive. So looking forward to that coming up, I believe, on Tuesday, although I'm looking now and it says it's canceled. Did it get canceled?
What? The September 5th card? No. It was supposed to be September 5th at 8 p.m.
Maybe her fight, because I'm looking on her thing.
That'd be a shame, man.
I'm looking on the Tapology for the fight, and it says Rain Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a canceled fight.
A canceled fight?
Yeah, it says it's not happening.
Why the hell would that be, man?
I don't know. I just see the Tapology, which is a place where you can get a lot of MMA info, and on there it says canceled bout. Oh, wait a second. Contender Series. Is Corinne not on this thing? Because...
Yeah, she's on it September 5th, man.
I don't know. Not according to this
She
card.
was on there.
She's Rain Guerrero is now fighting Diane Barbosa.
What? How does that make sense?
I don't know. Last I checked, like yesterday or the day before, I saw Corinne was posting about a fight. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like contacting her.
Well, something must have gone down. Maybe she got hurt or something.
She got hurt? That's strange.
Rain Guerrero.
I mean, she's training with...
4 days ago, she posted about it.
Yeah?
And she hasn't posted since. Maybe something happened. But it doesn't look like Corinne is still fighting at this fight card, which is news to me. Just as I check her Instagram, I don't have any news on that. I'm looking around trying to find news. Nothing. But as far as Tapology is concerned, which is a really good source when it comes to the fights, it says her fight is canceled. She is not fighting, and her opponent, Rain Guerrero, has a fight on that Dana White Contender Series show against Diane Barbosa.
That's terrible, man. I mean, she was like training hard. She was with Charles Jourdain. I saw that as like training with her, Fabio Holanda, and all that. And it looked like a good training camp. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, maybe it was an injury.
Well,
maybe it was
could be an injury,
a medical thing. I don't know, but
anyways, I'll reach out to her.
She's not fighting
now,
AJ. I thought she was fighting.
She was up to like.
I wanted to tell everybody to watch
yesterday.
her, but yeah, I just found out. I mean, like I said, 4 days ago, she was promoting the fight on her Instagram, and it seemed like everything was a go. And I hadn't seen anything from her or her team about a canceled fight, but it looks like she's had to pull out of that fight for one reason or another.
That's
I don't see her on any of the other Dana White Contender Series cards coming up.
Can you check her Instagram page just for the hell of it?
No, I just did.
Quickly.
I just did. There's nothing.
You just did, and there was nothing.
There's no info. There's nothing new.
Well, you know what? Let me. I'm gonna reach out to her to see like what's going on. I'm surprised and I'm disappointed because, man, I was looking forward to her fighting. Maybe she'll be on another card through that series.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the cards, I'm saying, over the next few months, and I don't see her on any of them.
But that's it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
This is her
oh,
Instagram.
Breaking news, man.
This is Corinne's Instagram, and this is her. She
was
supposed to fight this Rain Guerrero, and she posted this 4 days ago.
She's trained. Look at the people she's training with. She's training with Brianna St. Marie, one of the top jiu-jitsu female fighters in the world. Charles Jourdain, who's in the UFC, man. Fabio Holanda, man. Like, it doesn't make sense. And that was 5 days ago.
5 days ago, training, posting pictures. Last sparring before the fight. 5 days ago.
Jesus.
See, last sparring before the fight, ready. And now she's not fighting. I guess something happened. I don't know what happened.
Oh, man. That is...
Well, reach out, AJ. I know you're a teammate there over at the Brazilian Top Team Canada. Why don't you reach out and find out what's going on with Corinne, and hope she's all right. Hope it's not an injury, and maybe it's like some other kind of issue. I don't know.
Yep, I'll reach out, man. And it's too bad because I was looking forward to that. And a lot of people were too here in Montreal.
Yeah.
Of course. And in Abu Dhabi as well. She's a huge fan favorite in Abu Dhabi. I mean, wow. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's a typo.
I mean, it's not.
I can imagine it's not, but you never know, man.
No,
crazier things have happened.
When it says canceled bout on Tapology, like, I don't know, it's usually pretty accurate. That's direct from the UFC. I mean, Corinne's won 3 in a row over at the UAE Warriors promotion. I think she won the championship over there too, right?
Yeah, she is the champ.
Yeah, she's a really good prospect, and it would be good to see her in the UFC. And I thought that Dana White Contender Series was going to be her ticket in, and now the fight is canceled. It was supposed to happen on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Damn, pal.
Well, that's sad news to hear now, man. Well, I just hope there's a mistake.
Well, find out, and we'll have news. We'll have news on it next Thursday, right, AJ? You'll have some sort of update for us. Okay, you're on the case.
Maybe we can have Corinne on or something.
Something. Yeah, maybe Corinne will come on next week and figure out what's going on. But you find out, AJ. Find out after the show, and then let us know, and we'll report on it next week on the Ringside Report Network here on Ringside Report MMA. Fred will be back next week. I'll be back here tomorrow night with Johnny North, 10 p.m. Eastern Time for Wrestling Uncensored, right after SmackDown. And then I'll be back again. I'll be back again this weekend, right after Payback on Saturday, right after AEW All Out on Sunday. Another big weekend in professional wrestling, and I will have you covered for all the action here on the Ringside Report Network. Myself and Johnny North over the weekend. Coming up tomorrow night, the preview shows Wrestling Uncensored right here on the Ringside Report Network. Thank you to all the members for tuning in. Over at join.ringsidereport.net, $5 a month supports the Ringside Report Network a great deal. Leor, Angelo, and all the other members supporting. I just saw Leor and Angelo in the chat. You could support over on Rumble as well. Rumble, Kick, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, all the things. Go to join.ringsidereport.net or donate.ringsidereport.net to support the team. And we will be back here tomorrow night on the Ringside Report Network.